Paul with Headwaters seat covers. Today we are installing seat covers on the new model 2019 Chevy Crew cab. This particular model is a fold down armrest. Comes directly out of the backrest. Also has storage compartments for each on driver and passenger side. So we have covers for all. This is a solid backrest. The seat bottoms are split what we call 60-40. Wide part 60% behind the driver, 40% smaller side behind the passenger. Okay, we're going to install on the driver's seat bottom. As you look, these extending 1x3 hook Velcro tabs, you'll see on the inside right, DB will indicate the driver's seat bottom. So we're going to slide that on. We're going to just go a little bit at a time here, put that over, and as soon as you get that hooked over, what you want to do is you want to curl this hook Velcro. Just curl that on top of itself a couple of times. That'll just help you as you're pulling the cover down. So just pull a little bit at a time. Be careful on that action too. As you saw, I just pulled on this thing down. This thing will clobber you. Okay, so what I'm doing here, you'll see me pinching on the fabric. I'm working this fabric where this piece is sewn to this piece around the bottom side. I'm working all that fabric up here. So where the two pieces of seat cover are sewn together, you have what we call our seam allowance, or hem. And that's what we want to manipulate to make the seat cover fit as good as we can. So along this corner, I'm going to work that fabric in. You can see I can kind of pinch that and put it up to where I want it. Okay. And that'll just make that corner fit just very nice and snug. Same way, I'm going to go over to this side, make sure that is all worked around to the center part, and the outside part is where I want it. I'm just going to carefully drop this down. You notice we have an opening for the seat belt, so you want to make sure you kind of center that guy out. And just carefully tuck this cover down in. Now, there's child restraints here left and right. There is some sharp metal on those guys, so just be kind of careful when you're tucking that thing through. Okay. Nothing in the middle for child restraints. Okay, we'll tuck those through. Everything looks nice and smooth on the top side. We're going to just lift this up. And I work my way from one side to the other. So I'll go right where the seat belt is. I'm just going to pull the cover tight, press that hook Velcro right to that fuzzy carpet underneath the seat. And as you do it, you're kind of spreading it. So get this in there next to that seat belt. Then I'm going to pull it a little bit this way. That'll help spread that material. Keep everything nice and tight. Okay. Lastly, we're going to just take this hook Velcro, press it right down to the carpet. While I do that is I'll start on one side, pull nice and tight so everything is nice and clean. And when you are done, you should have a seat cover that does not have any wrinkles on it. If you do have some wrinkling going on, it's very likely you don't have the seams lined up to your original seams. So you're lining up the seams of the seat cover to the seams that are on your original seat. So once you do that, this cover will fit nice. The passenger seat installs exactly the same as the driver's seat. The only difference being is there's no hole for the seat belt. Passenger side, again, hook Velcro to the top, lift that seat up, work that guy on just a little bit at a time. Again, roll that bottom Velcro up or you will fight it all the way down. There we go. Carefully tuck in the top around those child restraints. Okay. Lift that seat up. Grab our hook Velcros. Fasten to the bottom of the seat. Take the remaining Velcro. Press that to the fuzzy carpet. Next we'll install the headrest covers. We'll be removing the headrest temporarily so we can put on the top section of the seat cover. So I'll fold these guys down. This little middle headrest I'll just put on while it's on the vehicle. I can just cap it over one side and pull it over. They're very tight, like everything here. Get that started on there, and then we'll just feel for underneath the headrest itself, and you'll notice these two little push buttons you got to use to release that. So with that headrest released, again, we always are tucking our seams the proper direction. So on this particular one, we're going to take the seam from here to here and we're going to put it to the inside. If you can't get it up there, you can sometimes stick your finger inside there. Work that to the front. Get everything fitting. Again, you're lining up the seams of the seat cover to the seams on this middle headrest. The inside of the middle headrest will also have MH on the inside. So once we have everything lined up, we'll take these hook velcros and they're going to fasten to that loop velcro underneath the back edge here. Everything should look nice and snug. Now it's lined up, we'll set that aside. The left and right ones, carefully detach the velcro, and you'll notice there's a hole on the outside. You can just flip those headrests down. Now I should be able to just take that headrest as is and just slide that right over the cover. Okay, then I'm going to go in, same push buttons. Okay, I don't want to do too much work on it while it's on. Same push buttons, release the left and right headrests. Here again, I'm going to work that fabric inside those seams to the outside, as you can see on this corner. So this seam here, we're going to put that fabric into the middle, and it just makes that cover fit so nice along the top. Okay, everything's looking good. Again, you're lining up the seams of the seat cover to the seams that are on that headrest. So once we have everything centered out, here we go. Tuck the fabric behind this push button, release for the headrest. You can see that fits in there very nicely. We'll go ahead and tuck in this back edge like we did on that middle headrest. Tuck that hook velcro in. You can see how I'm holding that tight. So I'll pull that tight, use my hand to hold it tight, and then I'll pull this. Okay, and fasten. This should meet up real closely at the bottom. And the final. There we go. And we can set that one aside. Okay, next we'll install the top. You'll notice we have 3 openings in the top, and to accommodate all of these guys. So first thing we'll do is we got a couple of buckles in the center. So right here, there's a cutout we made for those seat belts there, and each one of those sides of the cutout has our plastic buckles on it. So we'll set those aside. Then you want to carefully open the sides of the cover. So we have left side, we have a right side. Just carefully open those velcros. Okay. I'm going to turn this cover around. You notice where the holes are in the top. That's for your headrests, for the plastic. Okay. No opening is needed for the seat belt. Seat belt's mounted to the back of the cab. The only thing you got to do is just pull the seat belt out, tuck the cover behind it, and you're good to go. The first step that I'll do when I'm putting these on is I'm going to tuck the cover behind the plastic for the headrest. The very first step. That'll help us position that cover exactly where that needs to go. So we'll go ahead and tuck the seat cover behind the plastic for the headrest. This one I'll just go ahead and cap over this side just to kind of help hold it. So, and same with all of our covers, we got to line up the seams of the seat cover to the seams that are on the seat. Now when I'm pulling this over, I can initially feel the seam is right here of the original seat, and there's our seam. So as we get to installing this, we're going to have to pull that cover down, see, till it meets right up with the seam that's on your seat. And that'll be imperative for lining up these openings for all the storage units here. Okay, so I'll just work my way across the top. As I go, I want to kind of tuck in that back edge, here, tucked it in back here, middle headrest here. Like I said, keep tucking that material in. We'll tuck this. Then you notice the little corner of the seat, we have a little notch out, a little cutout. So you can see that on the seat cover. That gets tucked behind there, and you gotta really stuff to tuck that thing in there. That'll help hold the seat. This is gonna curl right around the back side of that little corner and help hold that. Same thing. Got another little corner out the other back corner of this thing, and just tuck that in. Okay. We're gonna really got to work on tucking that one in there. There we go. Plastic in. Here. That hooks back up. Okay, so now we're going to cap this back over. And you got to tuck it behind this part for the child restraint here. There's a little piece of metal hooked on there. Seat cover has to go on in the front of it, of all these pieces of metal. So make sure that gets tucked behind there. Okay. Put this guy back down around that corner. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is we want to fasten down the left and the right part of the seat cover, and then we'll also fasten down this center part. And what we want to do is we want to really try to position these openings as close as we can kind of get them. And we're going to use our Velcros to kind of hold that left and right side down tight and the front edge down tight. So in order to do that, you'll notice these big long 14-inch long 1x14 Velcros. So what you're going to do on that, you need to tuck the seat cover in to the edge of the seat. So we're going to pull this down. Again, we're lining up the edge of that seat cover to the edge that's on your seat. Okay, we're going to tuck this in. Keep tucking all the way along. Now, if you have child restraints in your seat, we've asked you about that. And what will happen is we'll just have an opening in the material. So you'll just take that opening and then just slide it right, or slide our seat cover on right through there, and your child restraint will be exposed, able to use that real easy. So I'll keep tucking this along. Now, again, you want to be careful along those child restraints because they are kind of sharp. And I keep tucking here. Okay, and that's looking pretty good. And go ahead and tuck that Velcro into the seat, nice and careful. Don't get poked. As we're tucking this in, it looks like our Velcro hooked up someplace we didn't want it. You notice the seams of the seat cover and this fabric here, so we're going to try to line this all up. This has a nice round to it to fit the round part of the cover, so what you're going to have to do is you tuck that right in, take this side piece, pull it down, and tuck it in. Okay. Tuck in the bottom. Okay, how that fits. So when you have that located properly, that seam will be right on that outside seam. Okay, tuck this in, keep tucking in. Here. Now we're just going to lift up on the seat bottoms. We're going to find that Velcro. Here it is. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this cover down pretty hard. Okay. As I'm pulling it down, I got to look back up here, see how far down to go. Right? So we want this seat cover following on the seams, and I see right here as I'm pulling on it, I pulled the cover in. See? The seam is out here, so we're going to have to work that back. See? Work that back into position. We're feeling pretty good up here. So I'm going to flip that up. That's really close to where we need it. Pull that other front down. Now, we need to route this underneath the seat. We're going to come up right back here, and this is basically going to connect to that. That is going to keep that side of that seat cover tight. I'm going to tell you, it's really tight and really hard to get back in here. The tolerances are really small. As you can see, this is a really small, kind of tight area. So if you got really big hands, this is probably going to be a kind of a tough maneuver. A couple of ways that I have figured out to do it. Of course, we're going to take this Velcro like we do with all our stuff. We're going to fold that thing in half. Okay? Fold that in half lengthwise. Stiffens it up like a ruler. One way that I found to do it is if you take and curl it. Okay? You curl that thing up. Gives it a little bit of a hook. Okay? And as you're putting that into the seat, you keep that hook this way, and it'll just kind of curl its way out. You can reach your hand back in there, grab it to pull it up and around. The other method, you got to have fairly small hands, is you can see between these child restraints here, okay, right in here. I can take my hand and stick it in between there and get a hold of that Velcro and then run it up that way. If your hands are small enough, you could do that, okay? So I've routed it around. That Velcro is sticking up in the air. See it back here? I'm going to reach my hand back in here and I'm going to grab that Velcro, okay? I'm just going to pull that up. Pull that thing tight. And I'm pulling up on that Velcro as well, okay? So I'm lifting up and I'm holding that tension, okay? Up, down, hold that up. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold tension on this guy. Get that seatbelt out of the way. You have to unfold the Velcro, open it up, okay? This is the part that's a little tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that thing up. Keep that tight. I can see that's really nice and tight there. Then with one hand, I'm going to press that to the seat. Okay? Then I'm going to take my other hand and I'm going to pull this thing into position. I'm going to push that right over the top of that Velcro. Now this thing's got to tuck into the seat a little bit here. There we go. Once you have that on there and fastened in, the side of the seat should be fairly flush. You can check your top. Everything looks good. We're all on the seams where we need to. We can take a little double check and we'll see that the seam for our opening here, see, is perfect. It's right where it needs to be. If you have it pulled down too far, it's going to cover up the opening. So we just make sure we get that thing in just perfect position. Left and right's looking good. Next, we're going to go underneath the seat and we're going to fasten our buckles, okay? So we disconnected the buckles from this loop Velcro from the get-go. Remember, we got some connections to make on each side of these center seat belts. At the very back side of these, you can reach your hand into the back side of this framework of this. What we're going to do is we're going to reach in, and I'm going to just push with one hand. I'll give you, for instance, on the seat belt. We're going to just hook that on over that metal. I'm just showing you this on the seat belt because it's back in there. We won't actually get a picture of it. So I'm going to take my hand like this. I'll push it into it, pull, and click. I'm going to slide this in. I'm going to push in. Okay. Now I have this hooked in. You want to keep tension on it, otherwise it'll let go. So with that thing hooked up, I'm going to pull this cover tight and I'm going to hook this Velcro right to it, okay? It's kind of a little trick. So I'm going to pull down real tight. There we go. You want that covered nice and snug down the front. We'll go to our other one. The other one's a little bit easier to get a hold of. Okay, now we need to remember the buckles we took off the front. Each side of the seat belt here. Move that up out of the way so you can see. We're going to hook this buckle right onto this piece of metal right here. To do that, I'm just going to hold my hand here. I'll put it back. I'm just going to push on that buckle and let that thing attach. Okay, let that thing slide up as high as you can get it. And I'm going to just take this Velcro and hold it against the seat. Then we're just basically going to lay this loop Velcro and connect this stuff. Pull it down good and tight. You want the front edge of this to be snug. Okay. All right. You may have to reconnect, which I had to do here, just to make sure that you can really get that thing as snug as you can. You want that thing to be really nice and snug holding that position. Next, we're going to tuck the material in around the armrest and the armrest cavity. I like starting in the center here, and then we'll work our way out to the storage compartment. So just open that armrest up. You can double check, make sure you're pretty close on those seams. So this looks exactly perfect right on the edge where we really want it. Okay, so we're going to start off working this armrest cavity. simply by tucking it in, and there's nothing to actually fasten this thing to in the back edge. So this is just tucked in. You may have to reach underneath that thing, tuck it every once in a while, but there's absolutely nothing for that to tuck into. We're just going to tuck that back in here. And what's going to hold our console, we're going to tuck that behind the hinges here. So look here, see the plastic right there? Make sure you get that tucked in around that hinge system there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, you can feel there's a piece of rope sewed inside the cover. That's going to tuck right behind here and catch on that plastic to hold that in. So this just simply pushes right in. Make sure the cavity is up good. And I'll just go to do this other side. And like I say, it just pushes in real easy. Right there. Okay, so now we are left with the top piece. It's really tight tolerances in here, super snug. So there's no rope on this, but we're still going to tuck this in. Now I do kind of have a specialty tool here. It's not necessary, but you could really use just kind of any rounded type of tool. Even a butter knife, you know, you could use if it just doesn't have the serrations or the serrated part on it. So, and this basically just tucks up underneath here real easily, okay? It just goes up in there a little bit. So it's just gonna tuck right behind that plastic, but you can just take it and just move your tool, see? Or your knife, see how that easily just goes in there? Easy peasy. Get to the corner now. What you want to do too is work it around the corner, but be really careful that you're not damaging the plastic, okay? So I'm just totally just tucking that up right underneath there. We'll start in the center, work our way back. Nice and easy. Right, one little corner there. That's all tucked up in there nice. We'll just move this back in there, and as you can see, that tucks back in there nicely. That armrest is not being held out at all. That's where that thing sits. You can notice it with the cover off of it. The armrest does stick out a little bit. I believe that's really for kind of backrest support for center passenger, but everything fits, stays in, nice and snug. All right. Now we'll work on the storage compartments. So in those, you know, you open up with the little nylon here. So carefully feed this through. You can see it's trying to hang up here in the back of the storage box. So just kind of tuck that behind there. There we go. That'll all kind of feed inside. Okay, so next you'll notice there's ropes sewn into these as well. The rest of the material we're going to just tuck behind the plastic in there. So just off the get-go, we'll go tuck the top up. So when I'm going to tuck this top rope up there, I'm just going to push it in and tuck it back up there. Be very careful. There is a sharp piece of metal back in here, right in this area. It's a flat piece of metal that sets right in there, so be really careful when you're tucking that in there. I'm going to use extreme caution, and I'm going to just tuck it up past that. Now I'm going to take the bottom, tuck that in as well. And as you get that bottom tucked in too, you'll feel way back in there. There's a little piece that kind of catches onto it. I'm just going to keep tucking these sides. Or in fact, I'll use my little tool here to kind of help me along. Tuck that fabric in. Here. Everything tucks in there. This piece will tuck back into here. There we go. So once you have that in there, you can see that's going to fit in there pretty darn nice. And the final test is, you know, close that, make sure everything works, make sure you pull it out, nothing's coming out. So All the openings are lined up. From there, just proceed onto the driver's side. Do it exactly the way we did this one. Not very hard, but again, you know, handy to have a tool like that, or like I said, you can use a butter knife. Just something with nice and round, flat edges. Okay, next we're going to put on the passenger top storage cover. So here again, just, you know, carefully open up the Velcros. The Velcros are going to connect to itself behind and hold the cover on. Just carefully disconnect those. Once you have the Velcros opened up, you're going to look down into the inside right. So this is a continuous piece sewn around here. You notice where the intersection of the two pieces come together. And on the inside here, you'll see in 1-inch tall letters, PTS. So that's passenger top storage. From here, that seam is going to go right back here on the back side of the storage unit here, and this strap is accommodated for just in a hole in the cover here. So we'll just open that storage unit up, and then carefully, without having any of the Velcros connect, I'm just going to hold that thing up, and then we're going to feed this strap right through the opening. Okay, then we'll just go ahead and feed that through, and just feel in there, a little opening in the seam, feed that through, work that cover on, front, wrap it around the back. Okay, wrap it over the corner. Here again, we're going to work those seams. See how I'm working those seams? So where that seat cover is sewn together, where this piece is sewn to this piece, I'm working the material from that out. So it just makes those corners fit really nice. Okay, you can work that down. And we've got the remaining bottom corner. It can be a little snug going over. They gotta be snug. Okay. Work all these Velcros through. Okay. I'm going to take a look at the top side. Everything looks really nice here. Really nicely formed. Okay, so we'll look at our Velcros. Everything looks good here. So now we're just basically going to connect these Velcros, and you want to be careful you don't over tighten. You get these things too tight and you can actually damage your foam. So seat covers have to be tight, but there's a fine line there, and you'll notice a little bit of overlap there too. We just want to make sure that there's plenty covering. Cover your seats. Okay, give a nice tug. Fasten here. I'm going to do this one. Pull this up close. The best way of doing those is to own the front and the back. These guys are nice and snug. Fasten the remaining. Okay, and you'll notice everything fits inside just the way it's supposed to. Alright, I'm going to give this guy a little bit more pull. Got a little bit tighter. Pull up, so just reconnect. That's what you might need to do. You just may have to reconnect here until you get a nice snug fit where you want it. Alright. Lastly, we'll install the armrest cover. So as you notice, the armrest cover is going to have a generous opening there for your drink holders and your little storage in between there. So you just go ahead and open the Velcro up very carefully. So opening to the top, and that extending Velcro to the bottom. We're going to slide this on a little bit. Just like everything, we're going to put it on a little bit at a time. And as you get to this point, you'll notice the strap for your original here. Okay, we'll take the strap and put it through the opening here. There we go. Get that started. We're just going to continue to work that cover down into position. Lift it up a little bit. So this seam we want, where the two are connected, we want that going up, which is good. That's going to connect up to where your armrest is. Going to keep pulling that down, and what we want to do is just really form this to the corner. Okay. See? Now everything is fitting nice and snug in that corner. I'm going to pull this corner down. Everything fits nice and snug there. Okay, now you're going to want to curl this fabric here, curl it around the corner, okay, because this is rounded, okay, this is rounded here. The bottom of the armrest is rounded, so is our cover. I'm going to tuck that in there. Over to this side, curl it around the front corner of the armrest there, and continue tucking that thing in. I'm going to just tuck it in all the way. Just keep tucking. Keep tucking. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my hand. I'm going to hold that armrest into position while I fold this down so I don't lose it. There we go. And you can see as you're going to pull that to the back of the armrest, that's just going to lay in there nicely. Pull that up and do one side at a time. And like the front edge, this is rounded, the back of this is rounded, so the cover's rounded. Okay, so we're just going to take this, put it right around the corner, and you'll notice that at the back edge, the material will meet. Okay, so keep kind of pulling a little tension on that. Then we'll just keep connecting that Velcro across to the back edge. Now we're going to get to this far side, pull up on this hook Velcro on the side. I'm just going to let that uncurl right over the back edge. Right there. Done deal. Flip that up. Get everything else tucked in. Alright. Everything works just dandy. Last step we're going to do is just reinstall the headrest in. Okay, stand them back up. You don't want them too tall. Push the button. Flip them over. Everything works like it should. Average time installing this seat cover, guys, I'm going to tell you, is probably going to take you at least probably an hour and a half. You'll be doing this for the first time, so just take your time and use patience as your guide, and you'll get through it. Remember, if you do have any questions, give us a call down here at the shop, 877-485-3001. Thanks for your business.